Okay, we are now on to the last episode of the seasonal wrap-up show for the fall 2023 season and the end of 2023 in general. So we got 7 randoms left. Let's see what we roll. First, it's going to be 1. Okay, getting right into it. Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. This was originally a summer season show until it was not because production collapse. Ha 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 ha. Let's see if I even make it to that point. Alright, that was a lot of fun. I just finished up all of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. Yeah, really damn fun. Really damn good looking zombie anime. It's just a shame that the production collapsed like 9 episodes in. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Like, this is a goddamn phenomenal looking show, and oh boy did they pay the price for it. So if you don't remember, this originally aired in the summer season of 2023, but the last 3 episodes ended up getting delayed till, like, I think December, because the production just completely collapsed and they could not put out the last 3 episodes, or at the very least could not put them out at the quality that they were hoping for and or would be expected based on the previous 9 episodes, which, to be fair, the quality's pretty goddamn high. Although there were some warning signs that was probably going to happen. This show did not have a fully formed opening sequence until episode 9. Like, at least half of the OP for, like, episodes 2 through, like, 7 or 6 or something, I think it was like 2 to 7, was recap of the previous episode. Which is always a bummer when you don't get, like, a really solid OP. So that was, like, the big warning sign. Like, the OP was not complete, and the bits of the OP that were complete were pretty simple looking. So that was definitely a place where corners were cut. Fortunately, the actual, like, fully formed OP is fucking fantastic. Like, and I mentioned this to Shaw on Twitter when I was watching it. I was like, any OP that has a, like, choreographed dance sequence in it, minimum A tier. And this is great. It's a fucking great OP. It's a shame it took until the last 4 episodes for it to get started. But then another one of the warning signs that this show was about to, like, go off the rails was, it's not, now I'm gonna be fair when I say this, it might not have been obvious if you didn't know that this show had to postpone its last 3 episodes, but episodes 8 and 9 did look noticeably a bit more still framey than the first 7 episodes. Well, slightly noticeably. I'm not going to say it was, like, super obvious, because they're still really good looking episodes, but there were a lot more shots. There were more shots where it was just like, oh, that looks a little awkward. Oh, they're definitely, like, trying to save on time here, so on and so forth. So I guess in the end, I guess it worked out, because, like, the last 3 episodes are also really solid looking. Although I would say the first half is still, like, the best looking part of this show. But here's the thing about delaying a production. Bug Films, which is the studio for this, is a brand new studio who I believe split off from OLM because they were... you know what, I'm not going to speculate on the reasons why they decided to split from OLM. But now you have this like full brand new studio, and their first production collapses. So in terms of a business transaction, they failed to deliver their final product at the when it needed to be delivered. And so that's going to drastically change the culture of how Bug Films functions. Now, you could speculate on why the production eventually collapsed. My speculation is that they simply did not allocate time properly. They went way too hard all the time. And again, we have the final product now, and so the final package as a whole, there's really nothing wrong with it. It's just that they did not budget their time, not money. I know I use the word budget. I'm speaking like metaphorically in terms of budgeting the time properly, budgeting your staff resources properly, so that the schedule would not fall apart. And so I'm very curious as to what's going to happen with Bug Films later, when they eventually get more projects, if they get more projects, because a lot of production committees might not want to work with them anymore now that they failed to deliver a product, which sucks because the product that they delivered was really damn good in the end. But that is a thing that's they're going to have to deal with now. Or are they going to be like, are they going to pull back and be a lot more restrained with their future productions and just not leave the same amount of impact? It's going to be interesting. I've talked for like 5 minutes now just on the production circumstances of this show. But like, man, it's a fucking great looking show. The character designs are phenomenal. Like, they've got the archetypes down while also like really nailing the like specifics and like the uniqueness to make them stand out. They feel comfortable, but also like different enough to be like, I'm going to remember these designs in the future for a while. Pretty much all of them, especially Shizuka, definitely one of the hottest anime characters of the year. I love it. Also really liked Tendo's design. He was just the like happy-go-lucky kind of protagonist. Reminded me a lot, both in personality and in terms of like visual design, of Midoriya from My Hero. Definitely got those vibes from him. I'm pretty sure someone else has also brought that up at some point, but I definitely get that vibe from him. But yeah, visually fucking phenomenal series. The color direction is so vivid and eye-grabbing and just constantly vying for your attention and just demanding that you look at the screen. Eventually, it does go a little, well, I'm not going to say it goes overboard, but it does make some decisions that I was not, that I would have changed up a little bit. Whereas, like, the one I'm thinking of in particular is, like, the rainbow blood splatters, where it kind of looks like paint. It looks like the blood is essentially like paint. And I think it worked for, like, the opening episode where it's this zombie explosion has actually brightened up Tendo's life to a significant degree, brought color back into his dead-end life. Although even in that moment, I still thought like the particular color choices, I'm nitpicking. I am obviously nitpicking here. It was just something on my mind. But like aside from that, production design is super fucking good. Action scenes are hype. Although, this is definitely one of those anime where physics is not a thing. Like, the physics does not work properly in this show. So if that's going to be a sticking point for you, that's your heads up, I guess. Like, I'm pretty episode 4 or 5, I think, the aquarium one. I'm pretty sure that's not how batteries work. The way that people land after jumping off of like high buildings and cars and stuff, it could be, maybe it's like that, maybe it's not. This show really pushes like suspension of disbelief, especially when they're just like knocking shit around. Now in something like High School of the Dead, I think you're a little more prepped for that because High School of the Dead is fucking nonsense from the get-go. Actually, I have not seen High School of the Dead in like 12 years. So I can't even be certain that I'm making a good comparison here. So I'm just going to stop. Aside from the visual aspects, though, this is a very compelling narrative. I love this idea of flipping the script on the zombie apocalypse. Like, this idea that, like, oh, for some people, an apocalypse is actually a good thing. Like, people who are trapped in a dead-end job where joy has been completely drained from their life and they're forgetting why they are living in the first place because Japan is one of those hyper-capitalist societies that just drives its workers into the fucking dirt. And societal collapse is pretty much the only thing that could change that. I hate to say it, but that's pretty much the only way that these systems can be undone at this point. And so for people who are completely trapped by that system, this is an opportunity to start fresh. It's a pretty cynical way to look at it, but it is kind of true. And this first episode does a fucking great job of portraying how Tendo is just trapped in this world and how it is just, his job is just sucking every bit of life out of him, just leeching off of him in this hyper-corporatist way, just treating him like a tool, treating him like a resource to be spent up. And the way that it, like, only slightly satirizes, like, abusive workplace culture, is very clever and very relevant to a lot of discourse that we have today. Reminds me a little bit of Cells at Work, Code Black, in that both are very much based around this idea of black companies, like these exploitative companies and such. Although I think I like this quite a bit more than Code Black. I just like that it's a super fresh take on the zombie formula. I'm sure it's been done elsewhere, but I haven't seen it. Like, the closest to this kind of take on, like, a zombie apocalypse where it's like, oh, you can actually, like, do things, is, like, Zombieland. So, and this is, like, way more optimistic than Zombieland. Not Zombieland Saga, not the Idol anime, Zombieland, the Woody Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg movie. I still haven't seen the sequel to that. I heard it was good. But Anyway, I also like that it's that this is a like that it brings up explicitly political things in this show. Like just in case for the idiots in the back, for the people in my fucking comment section about, no, it's not about black companies at all. You're reading too much into it. Let's drill it in just a little bit more by making it as explicit as possible that this is a political show. With examples like Shizuka's dad was apparently a partner of Lehman Brothers and was part of the the recession in '08, which, like, wow, that is definitely a thing to call back to. And it fits really well with how his character is portrayed as this, like, ultimate corporate scumbag of just climbing to the top, and it's like, other people are just things to be used by us, the elite, and such. And then there was, like, in the village, one of the old man referenced the TPP, what was it, Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was going to be like a trading bill. That's from the Obama years, I think. That was going to have a very hugely negative effect. I've forgotten the specifics of the TPP. At the time, I recall I was very concerned about how it was going to affect art, I guess, like artistic production and such. Little did I know that anime production was just going to get immensely worse anyway, without it. So, but anyway, this is an explicitly political show. It does not hide that fact at all. And that's really cool. And it's surprisingly kind of nuanced about it in a lot of areas, where it's just like, a lot of the problems are cyclical. These are like cycles that people get caught up in, and perpetuating the cycle makes it worse and harder to break out of. So, very fun stuff. And apparently there was some backlash to the, like, climactic arc of this season, with the social outcasts who just decided to burn this village down because for reasons. Well, the reasons are actually, like, pretty obvious and easy to understand. It's like, to them, this village that they have to work in is just another society that doesn't respect them. And all of them are total fucking scumbags in very interesting and believable ways. Like, we have the my bitch wife guy, which has become, I love that is in internet discourse, that has become like the ultimate punching bag trope now. The my bitch wife guy who just hates the fact that he has to reciprocate feelings, I guess. No, that's a wrong way to look at it. Just like hates the fact that his wife is an independent person who also needs, like, love and respect, and not just you. We have this uptight corporate office lady who refuses to admit that anything outside of what she does could possibly be correct. We have this really scumbag worker, fat dude who just does not contribute, who refuses to, like, take responsibility and, like, actually try to better himself in any way. And we have this sort of introverted guy who blames extroverted people for him not doing well in society, instead of grappling with the fact that he is introverted and that there are ways for people who are introverts to succeed. it's this very obvious contrast of like, society is going to fuck you up, but there are ways that you can get around it. We have this, and Tendo is a good way of getting around it. And it's like, these are problems that like are very easy to relate to, I guess. Like for example, I don't have a girlfriend, but it's not society's fault that I don't have a girlfriend. It's because I am not making the effort to have one. I am not making myself someone that someone would want to date. I am not someone who is emotionally available for a reciprocal relationship. And therefore, I don't have a partner. I don't blame society for that, and I am working on ways to improve myself in that regard. But it's not but I'm not going around like it's your fault that I don't have a girlfriend. So it's like a really interesting way of looking at it, in that, and also in that, I wonder if me a decade ago would have thought the same way. I do wonder that, because I have not always been a good person. I don't even think I'm a good person now, but I was definitely a worse person in the past. And so it makes me reflect on whether I would have, if the me from like 10 years ago or 12 years ago would have been more on the lines of Higurashi, who is the guy I was talking about, who like this introverted guy who just blamed society for everything, or if I would have been a Tendo who would have taken the chance to just start fresh. It's interesting for me to think about. Yeah, this show is actually really damn good, and like the cast on the whole is super likable and fun. I like that they had this abuse parallel between Tendo and Shizuka, where like Shizuka immediately is like, oh, he's trapped in a cycle of abuse just like I was. But she doesn't really have the tools to deal with that for someone else until like the very last minute, where it's like, okay, all or nothing, let's see if this works. Yeah, really liked the show. Again, the physics of the action scenes do get a little too much. That's like my biggest sticking point with the show, to be honest. But like I can get over that in a zombie series. I can get over that. Yeah, this show is really good. I hope Bug Films gets the chance to do more stuff in the future, because I sure as hell enjoyed this. Okay, Zom 100 is complete. We're going to scroll up into the number 20 spot for the year with a light 8. It's bordering on a decent 8. Really had a lot of fun with this show. Okay. Back into randomizing stuff. We got 6 random shows left. Let's see. Let's see what we roll next. Our next lucky winner is going to be 4. What is 4? Paradox Live. This is probably some kind of mixed media thing. Let's find out what it is. If I recall correctly, at some point in this seasonal wrap-up show series, I complained about how there wasn't any like real rap in anime, like real like rap, like all of the like rap that is in anime is like freestyle, which I think kind of sucks. and that there wasn't any like actually like fully produced rap music performances in anime. Well, I got it. It's a shame it's attached to an incredibly mediocre show. I got through like fucking like 6 or 7 minutes of Paradox Live. Honestly, I thought I was gonna be like harsher on it, considering I just finished Gundam Seed directly before this. I've been binging that in the lead up to the movie. But honestly, this is just like super uninteresting, except for the things that make it like that are specific to the show. So like, first off, the raps are incredibly like either incredibly bland or incredibly corny, whether it's in like the lyrics or the aesthetic of it all. It's just like not interesting or fun. But I need to tell you what the premise for this fucking show is. Or at least like, okay, so they have this world has discovered a new metal called like phantom metal. What does this metal do? It interacts with your DNA in a way that allows you to something, hallucinations, illusions, whatever. The end result is that you're a better rapper, I guess? Wild as shit. That's a new one. I gotta give it to him. That's a new one. Doesn't stop the rest of the show from being incredibly fucking mediocre. Characters are not fun to watch. They are super bland and uninteresting. Character designs aren't terrible, but they're not interesting. They're just ever so slightly over-designed in the way that like generic anime like this are. This is just not worth even thinking about any longer. It's just so nothing outside of the weird phantom metal thing. Let's move on. Alright, Paradox Live is off the list. Let's see what we roll next. Got 5 more randoms to go. Next lucky winner is 4. Alright, ReSlime Visions of Coleus. This is probably the last one on this list from the random section that I'm probably going to finish. And I like slime, so let's see what this spin-off's about. Alright, another ReSlime entry in the bag. Just finished up all 3 episodes of Visions of Coleus. Not gonna lie, I wasn't super feeling it in the first episode. They were definitely saving up on their the animation for a while until basically the second half of the second episode, and then a lot more in the third episode. But like the first episode just felt really static and stale, which was how a lot of season 2 part 2 was. But you know what? The character designs were still fun. So I wasn't going to be super hard on it because this is still a franchise that I like quite a bit, even though the movie was kind of disappointing. But the movie was a totally like anime original spin-off. I'm used to spin-off movies being disappointing, I guess. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot to say story-wise about this one, other than the after-credits scene in the final episode introduced a bunch new demon lords, it looked like. So that's going to be interesting to dive into. It looked like season 3 is going to lead off with some Benimaru content, maybe? Or maybe that was... No. No, that wasn't Benny Morrow in that shot. That was the... Right, that was the guy from the spin-off movie. I remember that now, I think. Yeah, okay, so that's what that... I guess that was... If that's correct, that's a weird thing to throw in as an after-credits scene, I guess. Oh well. Yeah, really not a whole lot to add story-wise or character-wise with this one. This is just like a fun little digression into a Arabia-inspired kingdom. A little bit of a mystery plot as to what's going on with the princess who who made her sick and whatnot, although it's revealed pretty early on who it is. Just the very mild mystery of what the conspiracy is going on here. It was decently engaging. It's like a sub story in the ReSlime universe. They're always good. It's always a fun time. It's usually a fun time. I will say though, as I was watching this, I realized, like, I was like all in on Slime. Like after the first season, I was like, this show is gonna be fucking cool. This rules. And I haven't been like notably disappointed by the franchise yet, but I will say I still think the first arc is the best arc. That first arc that concludes with like Shizue passing away and then Rimuru absorbing her body. I don't know, it just felt like the best moment in Slime so far for me. It's not that the series is necessarily treading water or anything. Like, it's still progressing along, but there's really hasn't been anything with quite as much emotional pop as that first arc, except for like when a bunch of the Tempest Kingdom people got killed at, like, what was that, the end of season 2 part 1 or something. I don't remember exactly when it happened. That came close to it, but still didn't quite get there. Maybe season 3 will have some interesting stuff that will boost it a little more in my mind, but I'm still satisfied with this franchise as a whole. Although maybe the fact that I really don't have anything to say about Visions of Coleus aside from it's more slime, does say something, I guess. Yeah, it was fun. What else do I gotta say? It is fun in the same way that ReSlime has always been fun. Yeah, it's good. Alright. Visions of Coleus is complete. We're going to scroll up a little bit. Not too far, to be honest. We're going to put it right under Kubo in the number 44 spot with a decent 7. Still a fun show. Still a fun entry into ReSlime, but it's definitely not one that that's going to stick out in my memory when I think of this franchise from now on. Okay. Down to 4 more random shows. Let's see what we get next. It's going to be 2. The Family Circumstances of an Irregular Witch. Okay. Have not heard a single thing about this one. Let's see what it's about. You know, I think I recently favorited something on N-Hentai that had a similar premise to this. And I think I enjoyed that a lot more. I got through about 4 minutes of... I can't even remember the title of this. Irregular Witch something. It's dog shit. It's absolutely horrendous to look at. Some of the worst character designs, like, model-wise, that I've seen in a while. The comedy is not funny. The adopted daughter is annoying as fuck. The only thing that it has going for it is the premise of, oh, this witch adopts this little girl, but then the little girl grows up into this big voluptuous woman, and the witch just stays a lolly, and that's a joke. I will say though, the opening scene, with this like very unassuming though admittedly terrible art style, played up. And recently, Crunchyroll started putting like the like content warnings on the top of every episode, and so like I saw this very like wholesome, totally like white bread, non-assuming moment of a witch finding a baby in the forest, and then at the top it said like profanity, smoking, sexual imagery. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, this show sucks though. We're gonna move on. Alright, Irregular Witch is off the list. Also, for some reason, I keep forgetting fucking anime. For some reason, I just never put Bikkurimen on the list, so I'm just gonna add it at the end here. I hesitate to even waste time on it since it has a sub 6.0 on Mal, but you know what? That's what this series is for, so we're just gonna roll 4s again. 2 again. Protocol Rain. What a dumb fucking title. Let's figure out what the show is. You know, normally when we get anime about, like, pro gamers or stuff, it's usually, like, MMOs or, like, fantasy games or stuff like that. It's very rarely FPS games. So I guess that's new for this. That is literally the only interesting thing about this show. I got like 5 or 6 minutes or something into this show. It looks like ass. The dialogue is just so boring and bland. If I hear the main girl huff one more time, I think I'm going to blow my brains out because something about that was just... Something about the way it was structured in the dialogue was just so fucking annoying. I did get jump scared by the opening shot though, because it was like all really terrible CG. I was like, oh please God, don't tell me this is the actual show. Fortunately, it was an in-game like the in-game stuff. It was like rendered stuff. So I was like, all right, that's interesting, I guess, sort of. It looked like shit. It didn't look like a game that would be in the modern day, but I wouldn't expect an anime to have like modern, like 2023 graphics, I guess. Yeah, this show's boring and just it has nothing. It has nothing. If you want to watch a story about like pro gamers or something, go watch A Good Omen. It's like a mini series that they did, that Achievement Hunter did with Alfredo Diaz, who was formerly of IGN, I believe, and then he joined Achievement Hunter, and he played Rainbow Six Siege professionally for a little while, I believe. Or at least he was like, yeah, he was on a team. I don't know how much money he made from it, but he was on a team. And funnily enough, the FPS in this anime does look like a Rainbow Six clone, because it's got like the thing where it's got like a bomb that you have to disarm, and it's a 5-on-5 team, no respawns. So it's basically Siege. Yeah, just go watch A Good Omen in honor of Rooster Teeth going under. We're about a month out from that at the time of me recording this. So, that's depressing. More depressing than this anime, actually. Oh well, this show sucks. Okay, Protocol Rain off the list. 3 more randoms to go. Let's see what we roll next. It's gonna be 2 again. KamiErabi God.app. I know Maz was a big fan of this one, which means it's probably going to be edgy as fuck. I don't know. Let's watch it. That sucked shit. Ugh. I got like 3 minutes into KamiErabi. Really fucking terrible CG animation. The mouth flaps barely line up at all. Too many terrible things for me to focus on one. Let's focus on one. So you know how in the past I've mentioned how I love when anime do that thing where it's got like in Do It Yourself and Healer Girl, where it's like you've got the primary hair color and then there's like a secondary complementary hair color on like the underside of the hair. You know how I said that I love when it does that? They did it fucking terribly in this one because they don't use complementary colors. They use normal ass hair colors on top and then bright fucking primary colors on as the highlights. Like the main guy has like black or brownish hair and like blue highlights, and then like the hot girl at school has brown hair and then this searing red as a highlight. It's fucking like my eyes hurt. And the script is fucking garbage too. There's like a scene where it's like this guy is like being like crushing on the hot girl or whatever, and essentially the point of the scene is like he teaches her that like smartphone photos have to have like their format converted, I guess, to post on social media sites, which that's not a thing. At least it's not in the US. What? That is if that's real, Japan, what the fuck are you doing? Now, I've had the opposite problem where I have downloaded photos from social media sites onto my computer or onto my phone, and they're specifically Twitter, and it's a fucking JPEG large file. But I've never had it the other way, where posting to the social media site doesn't work. Most phones save in a pretty fucking normal file format. Also, all the dialogue sucks shit. I can't talk about this anymore. Fuck it. I just can't. We're moving on. Alright, KamiErabi off the list. 2 more randoms. Which one's it gonna be? It's going to be 2 again. That's like 4 2s in a row. Bikkurimen. Okay. The one that I added at the last minute because I forgot about it. Fuck it, we roll. You know, in all my time watching anime, I thought I had seen every possible stupid corporate premise come up. But you know what? Sometimes I get surprised. Let me tell you what Bikkurimen is about. As far as I know from the 3.5 minutes that I watched of it. In this world, there are these things called Bikkurimen stickers, which is essentially merchandise, I assume, for Bikkurimen, which is a Toei animation series from the 80s. I don't know how many sequels it got after that, but the original show is from the 80s. And in Bikkurimen, these stickers are so valuable that they are stolen like you would steal a fucking like ATM like truck or whatever. An armored truck like that refuels a fucking ATM. Why can't I say the word? Refills an ATM. Like they're that fucking valuable. I don't know what happens after that. I assume that there is a team of people who are assigned to protect these stickers in transit, because it looks like the main team, the main group of characters are going to be like delivery people or something. I don't fucking know. Nor do I care, because the show looks like absolute dog shit. It is so not engaging on a visual level in any way whatsoever. I could go into like specific details about how incredibly fucking obvious the robbery was in the first episode. But like, I'm not gonna. Or in like the first, this show is a nothing. It's a nothing. And so I shall say nothing. Okay, Bikkurimen off the list. We got one non-end cap left. A girl and her guard dog. I have heard this one is terrible, possibly for problematic reasons. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited to figure it out, because at least it will be more than a nothing show like the past few that I just watched. Or it could just be mediocre as fuck. Let's find out! Hey kids, you ever wonder what it'd be like if the back half of Usagi Drop got adapted? I didn't even get to the problematic shit, to be honest. Although there were definitely signs of it. I got like maybe 5 minutes in to A Girl and Her Guard Dog. This show is fucking disgusting looking. It is... It's bad. It's bad in a gross way. Like, it is... There is something off-putting about these designs. At least it's not like the... This show is, like, not horribly bland like the past four, so at least I can be, like, mildly angry instead of just tired. Like, it's gross to look at. There is something viscerally off-putting about these designs for some reason. Like, the proportions are weird. The main guy has, like, fucking dead eyes like a fucking fish. Like, normally when you design, like, anime character eyes, you give them, like, a little sheen, just a little bit of sheen, so that they look like they're fucking alive. And the main character, the girl has it. It's still not good, but it has it. She has it. The guy doesn't have it. He looks like he's fucking dead. Like, what was the thought process there? And like the facial proportions are weird and icky. The show is icky looking. I don't understand why you would make something look like this. It's just fucking ew. And the color palette, in theory, it's not bad, but something about it just makes it, like, it's mostly got, like, a tannish yellowy, like, orange kind of palette, but then there are these just blacks and grays in it that really stand out in a bad way. They are not blended in well with the rest of the color palette. It's... This show is horrendous looking. I don't know why it's so bad looking. Like, why this particular kind of bad is making makes me uncomfortable to look at it. Maybe it's because I know there's going to be some groomer shit coming later, because that's where this story is heading. I didn't make the Usagi Drop comparison on accident. She states outright that she is, like, in love with this guy who is, like, a decade older than her, and she's still in high school, and this guy basically raised her since she was 5 years old after her parents died. So that's a yikes. Because you know he's going to reciprocate the feelings eventually. We need to move on. Okay. Girl and her guard dog. Off the list. Which means we are finally down to the last anime of 2023. Pokemon Paldean wins. This is 4 5-minute episodes or so. I'm hyped to end on Pokemon because what else would I do? Let's get into it. No one does it quite like Pokemon. I just watched all of Pokemon Paldean Wings. This was a 4-episode miniseries from Wit Studio and directed by, I believe, what's his name? Ryohei Takeshita, who is currently the one directing, what's it called? Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night, which is airing right now in the spring season. And this was really damn good. Although I will say, I do think the first episode is vastly better than the other 3. Not that the other 3 are bad, but just the first episode is just hit all of my buttons perfectly. Has the awe and wonder of the world of Pokemon. It has a music theme to it. The main character in that episode is a musician struggling with an unnamed issue that she has with her relationship to music. And the visual expression of that struggle was very powerful and just very affecting. Also, the score in general for this series is fucking incredible. They've got this fucking full-on orchestral swells going on constantly in this series on these very interesting, a lot of woodwind solos in this series. There was a clarinet solo, there's a flute solo, there was a sax solo for a little bit in the last episode. The score was just incredible. I should have looked up who did the score, although I could tell a lot of them were tracks from the games. I could just tell that it was that Pokemon sound. So I don't think Junichi Masuda is still composing for the games, is he? Probably not. I don't know who the new game composer is, actually. I'll have to figure that out later. But really damn good sound, and it's visually incredible, too. I will say, the opening scene felt a little weird, but that's just because it was, intentionally playing with perspective, because it was being shot from the perspective of that tiny little, gremlin Pokemon. I don't know what it's called. I am well behind on my Pokemon games at this point. The last mainline game that I played was Sun and Moon. So I am, just way, way the fuck behind. So need to get back on that. But yeah, this was just basically a series of almost tone pieces, in a sense, of just episodic stories detailing different struggles from these 3 main characters' lives that they're currently going through at the moment. Not super fleshed out, because the longest episode of this bunch is 11 minutes, and that's the first episode, and it's the longest, so there's not super in-depth stories. I think the second episode could have used probably maybe 30 seconds more for time, but it was still pretty solid. For as short as they are, they still had enough oomph to really to do what it was attempting to do. And what this series is attempting to do, as with most Pokemon series, is to just show you these brief snapshots of life in the world of Pokemon. And I think I've pointed this out before so many times in my fully edited videos, but Pokemon, the sheer versatility of the Pokemon world in terms of narrative never ceases to amaze me, because you can tell any story in the world of Pokemon and it will be interesting. You could tell a story of a girl having an existential crisis over her music, and then she gets into a wild chase involving a giant snow whale thing. You could tell a story about a character struggling with their Pokemon battling skills. You could tell a story about a high school or a school reporter trying to figure out the next big scoop and why his stories just aren't panning out the way they want to. You could do literally anything with Pokemon, basically, within the realm. Alright. Thank you, car alarm. You could tell pretty much any story within the realms of it's still Pokemon, you still have to keep it PG. And that's one of the reasons why I keep coming back to the series, because it just, especially in the last half decade or so, it is just constantly pushing the envelope of what you can tell Pokemon stories. Like in this series alone, I think it was the last video we talked about Pokemon Concierge, a fucking hotel relaxation story or resort relaxation story in stop motion animation. And it's still about Pokemon. This is the perfect franchise for me. Pokemon is, I came to this realization, Pokemon is my favorite fantasy world, period. There is nothing higher than that. There's probably nothing even close to it. Just because of the sheer versatility of it and the sheer awe and wonder that it inspires. There are so many shots in Paldean Winds where I'm just staring at it going God damn, this world looks so fucking cool. And the fact that these shorts are so incredibly beautiful definitely helps with that. I like these very short, condensed bursts of Pokemon energy and condensed bursts of animation talent, like we saw with this, with Twilight Wings, with Poketoons, with Hisuian Snow. I'm really digging these mini projects, and I hope we keep getting more of them. We probably will, because they seem to be doing really well so far, so I'm hoping that we continue to get more. And I think this was a very fitting way to end the year 2023 anime year for me, because it's more Pokemon and it's more good Pokemon, and I really like it. You should get into Pokemon. It's really good. And check this show out. Alright. Pokemon Paldean Winds is complete. We're going to scroll up to just outside the top 20. We're going to put you in the 21 spot with a light 8. More really fun Pokemon stuff. And with that, we have finally completed the fall 2023 season and the 2023 anime year. We have a total of 60 completed shows now. So let's revisit those estimates that I had drawn up earlier. So I had expected, of the remaining shows that I had left from the fall season, my minimum was 10 and my maximum was 14. So let's count all of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did those 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 13. So, yep, pretty much right in the middle of those minimums. So, yeah. Really solid year of anime. Kind of wish I had another 10 out of 10 like I did the past 2 years, but There was no Maiden Abyss entry this year, unfortunately. Kaguya came close. I wonder if I watch the movie again, if I would like it more or less. We'll see. But anyway, we'll do a little bit more recap in the upcoming compilation episodes. I think I'm going to do 2 compilation episodes just to get all the top 2, in case anyone wants to see just my whole top 20. Like, this is really like the best of the best stuff. And then once those are done, it's time for the winter 2024 season. We're going to be diving into that a few weeks from now. But until then, my name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.